Coops, Des, he will relinquish the coaching position at the end of the year. Josh Hannay comes in. You had much to do with Josh?
No, I played against him. He's involved in the Queensland Origin side, and Billy's got big raps. Publicly he's stated, but even behind closed doors says that Josh Hannay's a big part of what he's been able to do in the Queensland team. Josh is the defensive coach for the Queensland team, and if you look at Game 3 and what happened to Queensland, how they won, they designed a defensive sort of system that spooked Nathan Cleary in a big game. Like they were coming forward, coming back. So, and that's got credit to do with him. And he cut his teeth at Host Plus Cup South Logan for a couple of years. Did everything that coaching needed to there. So you talk about apprenticeship. He's done it.
Yeah.
And he's been exposed at interim coaching level for a little bit. So this isn't a Hail Mary pass. I think this guy's ready. We're about to find out.
Well, the Frizzell family, of course, who own the Titans, they know how important this next appointment is. Yeah. And apparently they've been very thorough. They reached out to Billy, and my understanding was, just as you said, Billy had enormous reps.
Yeah, I agree with that. They have to get this right.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Gold Coast Titans, they have to get some success there. They need to get a consistent team that plays finals. Because we've always said this, they're a talented team. That list has enough talent there that should be playing finals, and maybe Josh Hannay's the guy.
He's the bloke.
Maybe.
Last Friday we were saying the best Friday night football coming up, and oftentimes it doesn't live up to the billing. But
it did.
That I haven't seen a better finish to a rugby league game than that first game.
It was
the Raiders' victory.
The only one that sort of matches it in recent memory in terms of delivering on the occasion was Roosters-Tigers 2-10 final series. I remember that where Braith kicked the field goal and Kenny Dowd. But what happened in Mudgee, one top of the ladder versus Team 5, physically they were into each other to start with, and there was just moments of brilliance throughout it. Like it was... Strange and Weeks what they did. Like Nathan Cleary absolutely smokes this kick and it hits the upright, and Stewart doesn't get enough raps for what he does here.
Fantastic.
Like a lot of players would just sit and watch. Yep. And the two dangerous people on the park for the Raiders got the ball when the game was on the line. Yep. Ethan Strange's ability to run and break tackles and then Weeks to cover. Like that, it was the best thing I've been a part of.
Yeah, and Coops, and we say this oftentimes in this podcast, what is really crucial in big moments is the most basic fundamental. And when Ethan Strange went in there, what he did at the very end, a simple 2-on-1 and executed it. And he had come across there, Dylan Edwards. It was a bit of a tricky pass, but he executed. Now, as you watch the weekend with the Knights, the last 2 weeks, I reckon they've bombed half a dozen opportunities on 2-on-1s.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is the try to go to Golden Point.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was a set play done in the video analysis room, and Ricky and the coaching staff said, we've got this little idea, what do you think? And with a couple of minutes to go on the clock, Jamal Fogarty delivers the knockout blow for him. There was moments in that game where... so the Raiders have been so good all year. They've got Tarpany and Papali'i in Horsburgh. They've got Strange, Weeks, Timical, the outside backs. But I think off the back of that game, I think Jamal Fogarty is the key to Canberra's success
No
this
doubt.
year. Like, his king game is rock solid. He can turn an okay set into a really good one. But his key part, and he needs to get this right through September, is knowing when to pass the ball and who to pass it with. I thought he played too many short passes.
Yep.
This one here, Hudson Young, like he may have been setting up the game, but when you've got this here, get the ball to Strange.
You see Strange there, put his hand in.
Get the ball out because he is dynamic, and he gets it to him. This part here, short pass, but he then gets the ball when the game's on the line. Who does he go to? He goes to Strange.
Yep.
Sets up a try here. Get the ball to Strange. Not every time and weeks, I'm just saying.
Yep.
His decisions in September are going to be the key to whether the Raiders lift the trophy or not.
It's really, and we oftentimes go back to our playing days, and I remember Alan Bell. He came up with the block for the block. That was his play. And he said, what's really important, he said, on a sweep block play, sweep option, he said the guy at the back has got to help the ball player. So he'd be like, if you're sweeping behind, he said, help your ball player. If all of a sudden you see them start to jam outside in, he used to say, yell, play.
Yeah.
demand it, and that helps the ball player.
And I'm not saying he has to pass the ball to Weeks and Strange every time, but you can play to your back rower and set the game up for the back end of the game. But through September, the decision-making of Fogarty, for me, becomes absolutely key for the Raiders. If he gets it right, gets the ball to Strange and Weeks at the right time, Timiku and that will score. If he plays too many short passes, they probably miss their chance.
You're right, Coop, in it. Like, you got Kyle Weeks, you got Ethan Strange, but the steady man is the most important. He's the steering wheel.
They're running a similar system to Penrith. You've got Strange on the left, Weeks on the right, and Jamal is doing the guy that plays both sides of the ruck. So his decision-making of when to pass and when not to is the key. Great
performance from Raiders on the perspective that the way that the Panthers built their game beautifully, like lots of inside balls, wearing out the middle. I thought, wow, they're really doing a job on the young Raiders here. But the Raiders, the stamina and the belief got them home.
The Panthers were in the sweet spot. They were playing the game when Martin scored just in the second half. They were dominating field position, defending really well. And the Raiders just grinded away at them. They got a couple of penalties and a bit of field position. But when the game was on the line, normally Nathan Cleary is a guy that stood up. But there is two superstars emerging in our competition. Their names Ethan Strange and Kyle Weeks. They were tremendous in the moments.
It was watching Penrith. It was interesting seeing guys make errors the last couple of weeks, which is unusual for them. Like Dylan Edwards come up with a couple of key errors, which is unlike Dylan. He's usually like sound as a pound. And it was funny watching. In one essence of their game, Penrith, they were so disciplined and so good, defensively. They defend their line so well, but then they get possession back and they just make a costly error. Where do you think they sit in relation to the other top teams?
I think Penrith deserve a lot of credit for where they were to where they got to. The last two losses, I think they've missed the chance of finishing the top four. Have they used all their energy up in trying to get their season back to a level? 2 golden point games. I still think they're a dangerous team. I don't see them winning the comp this year, but they are a dangerous football team. And it's a bit alarming. Not alarming, it can be easily fixed, but they're Dylan Edwards' error. Liam Martin not tackling Jed Stewart. There's a couple of moments that their senior guys would like to have back. You can't have that in September.
Do you see, when guys make errors like that, do you see that as fatigue again? They were tight at the start of the year. They had an amazing run through the middle of the season. We said the drama with a slow start is you can spend your pennies getting to the finals.
You can. And I feel like that'll be their storyline. They'll get to week 1 maybe fall over week 2. But this isn't young guys that you would be worried about. This is rep players who have done it. So it's probably a conversation that Ivan Cleary goes, hey Dylan, we need you to get back to being the best fullback and holding on to that football.
Before we talk about the Dogs Storm, isn't it funny this time of the year, Coop, get up this morning or come home this morning.
What time did you come home this morning? Setting time?
A little bit after midnight.
Yeah, okay, sweet. Just after? 1:30?
As my son Cooper is leaving to go to work, I'm coming home. Trish goes, great example. But it's time of the year. You get there and you just, that warmth in the air.
Yeah.
Like it just feels, when you're a player, it just feels different, doesn't it? It's exciting.
And it does. I think there's a lot of energy. We talk about energy and momentum, and the teams that have momentum, like whether it's placebo or real, like it does lift you through September. The birds are chirping, the sun's out, the weather's better, and if you have confidence in your footy team, you can ride that all the way to grand final day.
Dogs going into the game. What's funny here, Coop, that going into that game the other night, they were 6-1 to win the comp, or $6.50. They've gone out to 9s. I totally disagree with that. I actually really like what I saw in the Dogs' performance from what they found in the second half. Their second half, Coop, they found their formula. They had far less emphasis on trying to force the football and force their attack, and they just poured their energy into their defence, and I thought they looked very, very good. They were unlucky not to pinch it.
I think the Dogs are still a threat. I agree with you. On their day, they can get it done. But over the last month, I think there's a key part of the game that's becoming obvious. The Dogs do it well and they win this area, they'll win. If they lose it, they'll lose. It's ruck speed. Their smaller middle forwards are their strength and their weakness. If they get slow play the ball, Kurt Mann, Hayward Curran, they're going to struggle running into Payne Haas, Moses Leota, the Roosters pack, right? But if they get ruck speed with forward momentum, the way they shift the ball and their footwork will put those bigger forward packs under threat. So I feel like I've learned a lot about the Dogs. If they win the ruck, more than not, I think they can win the comp. If they play off a slow play the ball, I don't know their smaller bodies can get the forward momentum that their spine are going to need to make good decisions.
Watching them defend in the second half, it was a rushing, swarming defence. It reminded me so much of you blokes in those 2006, 7, 8, those years, and the fact that you didn't have as big a pack as a lot of the other sides. But you were like the pack was like hyenas, defended like hyenas. A lot of people in tackles. And the second half, that's how the Dogs defended.
It was almost like Serraldo gave them a rocket and said, we're not doing the Bulldog style of football. Go out there and defend. And defensively, their leg speed is a good thing because they can move fast across the field better than most. But when they want to score points,
got to win that.
Got to win the ruck. They need to find a way to have faster play the ball speed.
I thought Galvin was very, very good, and people go, "Oh, I'm not a Galvin," but you got to talk about him. He's the 7, right? I thought that. His ability to sort of break out of the structure a little bit. I liked the way he ran the football. He was a constant danger, sort of poking his nose through. I will say this, Coop. I still maintain. I don't see Locky. I don't see him as a 7. I don't think. To me, Locky is that roaming, skillful 13.
Right.
That's how I see him. Like when at the moment we're seeing Dewey in the 7 before he got injured in the weekend, and he's playing for me. Dewey will evolve into that 13 sort of role, and that's how I look at Galvin.
I'll tell you what, if he put on size and went down that 13 path, geez, he'd be a very smart 13. There's one thing that I think 13s don't do. Isaiah Yeo is the pinnacle, right? But 13s don't kick. Imagine if you had a ball playing 13 who could kick as well. And Galvin's got that in his skill.
There's some positions that continually evolve, and 13's one. 13 traditionally was a... 13 traditionally, through the 70s and the 80s, was was almost a short side playmaker. He was like the second 6. And then all of a sudden, through Bradley Clyde, he became a meter reader. Then all of a sudden, because we class them as a middle now, they become Taumalolo and whatnot. And now what we're starting to see is going, okay, we've got to score points to win, and they're starting to become more of that skillful player.
I think Galvin could be a 7, and I think he can be a very, very good 7. He's got to improve in a couple of areas, like his king game needs to evolve, but that will come with time. Like we always judge our young players the 30-year-old version of themselves, right? In 3 years' time, I think this guy can be a dominant 7 in the comp. But right now, he's got some areas to improve. And if he can get that done, there's no doubt that they're a threat.
A little bit of a train spotter thing that we like to do. And let's have a look at what he does here. He does a little drop-off play. There's not a lot on here. And so what he does, he decides to burn a play. Okay, and we just stop it there now. If you're going to burn a play, I think you've got to get something out of the play. And how you do that is you burn a play at an opposition middle. Right. And you see Penrith do it a lot. They always, when they do an inside ball, Penrith are always sending the ball back to the post. If this was Penrith, he'd hit on the outside there, because you want to make the opposition middles make more and more. You want to burn out their engine, and that's just only a tiny little one there. But that's, if I was a coach, that's advice I'd do to Locky. I'd say if you're going to burn a play, burn the play toward the middle, toward the post.
It's funny, like we always go through this argument around a structure versus ad lib, right? And anyone who thinks they play eyes up 6 tackles in a row, they're off their head.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't. You need to reset the field position at some stage. But the way you reset can be pedestrian or it can be dynamic. And you'd lean towards dynamic, because the more you can create chaos in the defensive line, the more opportunity you'll get the ball to the threat where it needs to. You
don't burn a play just for the sake of it. Back in the day, it was always, come on, let's just take a settler and let's reset. But unfortunately, if the kettle's boiling, and then all of a sudden you go, okay, let's just reset to give ourselves more thinking time, essentially all you're doing is resetting the defence.
Well, one example would be, if you're doing a reset play, have support players running with that person taking the hit up, because that might take one person out of the tackle, and therefore you're only going against two. So always have a support player.
Force an offload or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
First up, you said about winning the ruck. Melbourne just destroyed the Dogs in the first half on tackles 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Their outside backs just punched holes in them continually.
Like these clips here of just bodies pushing straight through. And that's probably why Serraldo came out with a completely different defensive team in the second half, because at stages, the Dogs weren't swarming. They were getting beaten inside shoulder. That's an outside back through the heart of the two front rows, finding their front, and then taking the next play through. Yep.
That's right. And in the second half, they really addressed it. Yeah, the second half, they were able to shut the play, play one, play two down. And this is the thing, Coop, as playmakers, all of a sudden, if they're not getting forward on play 1 and 2, your outside backs, then all of a sudden, all you're thinking about that set of six is, oh, come on, boys, just get me forward and we're going to kick long. If all of a sudden they start punching holes in early, you start getting on the front foot and you get interested.
And this is where our game can be like a bit scientific. So the Dogs, for example, were being blown through the ruck. Too many spaces in their shoulders. So Cameron Serraldo would have said, right, get our shoulders tighter together and don't let that space. But then the Melbourne Storm have the ability to go around you.
Yeah, we'll go.
So if you go too tight, then you've got the ability to go around. So that's where the science of our game plays.
Geez, I tell you who was good, Versatility Tupanua.
Yeah.
My God, he was sensational. He's come back. He had a stint out injured. No coincidence when he was missing out of the side, they fell into that patch of inconsistency. Yeah. But I thought he was powerful the other night.
Well, he's got that physicality, but the leg speed. Like, he goes from 0 to 100 pretty quick. And it's almost like every carry is like, you're going to have to hit me with everything you got. When he gets it right, he's a dangerous player.
Just a little one again, but Tyrone Wishart's been fantastic. What I really like about Tyrone Wishart is that he's taken his skill set to the jersey.
Yep.
When we say this quite a bit. Yep. He doesn't let the number on his back dictate how he plays. And there was a good play the other night. He set up the first try and he used what we call split play. Yep. And it's a great play for a running seven because it's a running play. It gives you the option to run with the football, gives you an extra second of sight time, and for running players, it's gold.
I think it's good that when you get a new or an inexperienced seven coming in, to have an attacking system that is familiar and reliable, because if you've got the right people in the right places all the time, Tyrone can back his running game. If he's got people not in the right space, Matt Burton doesn't turn out, Bronson Cherry doesn't look to the outside, so you've got to put people in and around an inexperienced seven as opposed to, there you go, mate, there's the keys to the Ferrari, take us for a ride type thing.
Yeah. So what
about Tyrone Wishart? Does he play 7 or 9 this week? So no Harry Grant.
Yep.
Would you keep him at 7 or would you move him to 9 and bring Pezzett in?
I think Pez will go to, I reckon he'll go to 7, I reckon Tyrone will go to 9. I think that's where it'll settle. Because the thing about Tyrone, you can get the same value out of him, probably more value at 9. And I think Pezzett coming into the side has shown he can handle that role, so I think that's where they'll go. Do you think?
Yeah, I agree too, I think Tyrone's got a better defensive game than Pezzett and can defend in the middle, and the Roosters' pack's pretty physical.
This competition has just fallen perfectly, and these last rounds have it's amazing. When you talk about, firstly, who's going to finish, first, second, all that's locked in. It's just a matter of who's going to get the minor premiership. But let's focus on the top 4 and then later on the top 8. Oh, man. So, I mean, massive game coming up on Thursday night. We've got the Dogs and the Panthers, and there's important games like Storm, Roosters and whatnot. But who's your top 4? Who do you see getting in there?
Yeah, I think Raiders and Storm locked in. I think it's hard to predict where they all finish because at the end of the last round, there's going to be teams that can't move, and then those teams will rest. And then they're going to be playing against teams that need a win, and it's hard to move the jigsaw around. But I think, for example, the Raiders and the Storm, they'll win enough games, so they'll probably potentially rest last week. So they won't move. But then the Dogs could finish as low as 5th, and the Broncos could finish as high as 3rd, depending on how it all works. But for the way that they're playing, I think the Dogs finish 3rd.
Yep.
And I think, looking at the draw, I think the Sharks get in there.
Yeah, wow.
I think the Sharks might jump up into 4th.
Haven't they been a sleeper?
Yeah.
They're just...
The Warriors will determine that because, the Warriors will play this weekend and they got the Eels. The Eels are playing pretty well.
My word, they are.
And the Warriors play Manly in the last game of the year, which Manly might have to win that as well. So I think the Sharks might slip into fourth. Who you got?
So we've got Dogs sitting there at the moment, third. Yep. They've got Panthers and Sharks.
Yep.
I reckon, I edge of my bets here, I think they'll win one of those games, take them to 38. That locks them in third. The Wars have got Parramatta and Manly. I see them winning. It's Manly away too, a tricky game. I see them winning. I've got them
so they go to 36.
They go 36. They get that spot. So that's the top four. But as we start to go down, what's interesting is if we talk about who gets into eighth spot. Yep. So you got the Roosters there, and they're plus 72 on points differential, which is going to be really, really important. They got the Storm, and then they got Souths in the last round, which could determine.
Well, the loss
everything.
versus the Eels might have just cost the Roosters.
Yeah.
Like that was a poor performance. Like their season was right there for them to grab a hold of. Yeah, they come off the Dogs' performance, which was arguably their best, and they turn in arguably their worst. So now they have to win every game to solidify.
And the Roosters, they're acutely aware of what role they're going to play in the Roosters' destiny. There's talk that Cam Murray will be back, that Keon will play, Latrell returning, Cody fit.
Johnston trying to
break Ken Irv. Imagine with Alex if he scores 2 tries in the first half.
I would like to see that.
Can you imagine?
I would like to see
that. Man. Yeah. So, and this is interesting with the Dolphins. So the Dolphins got slightly better points differential, plus 81, but they're 2 points drift. Them and Manly. Manly are plus 4.
I can't see Manly.
No, I don't.
Manly need to rack up cricket scores against the Dragons and the Warriors.
That's right.
The Titans, you look at the Dolphins play the Titans, right? Let's say the Roosters win one of those games, Storm and South. So give them one win, right? That jumps to 30 points. The Dolphins, that means they need to beat both teams. They're playing the Titans and the Raiders.
And both, Raiders obviously, but...
The Raiders might be resting their players.
This is the thing.
Right? So they win against the Titans, the Dolphins, and the Raiders go, you know what? We've got the minor premiership sewed up. We're going to rest a couple of our players. And the Dolphins go down there and get the victory. They could slip into 8th.
Titans is going to be tough. Titans are playing for a new coach now.
Yeah,
Des is still coaching.
That's true.
But Hene's in the stands now. Hene's casting an eye over all those players.
So then go all the way to the bottom of the ladder. The Titans playing for their new coach.
Yeah.
The Newcastle Knights, they're 2 points ahead of the Titans.
Yeah.
If the Knights don't pick up a game, they're just allowing the door to be open for the Titans to win one of those and go past them on points differential.
So let's say the Dolphins beat the Titans, and we get the Raiders are pretty much going to be landlocked into a top 2 position, home final. Since round 15, the Raiders have had 3 byes. Do you still rest in that last round? If you're Ricky, do you still rest players, or do you think they need to keep playing?
I think they need to keep playing. There's something about that youth that says if you give them the weekend off, then they might just, that's cool, we'll just breeze into week 1, right?
Yep.
Ricky knows them better than me, but I think they might be playing.
What about Beliak? I mean, for years,
he'll rest them.
He'll rest
them.
How important do you see? Does Craig just win the minor premiership?
I think he respects it. I think he would love to do it. But I just get this feeling about Melbourne. 1, having been there, and 2, just watching from the outside, that what happened to them last year on Grand Final Day is just burning inside, and that's the only thing that truly matters. Like, they just want to get back to September, and they want an opportunity for redemption.
Right.
And I think it's going to drive them all the way to it.
So Dolphins, Roosters, who finishes 8th? I think it's Roosters, purely on the fact that, like the Dolphins, mate, just the amount of injuries, and like if you think at the moment, like the Manly game the other day, it says a lot about where they're at the moment, physically and probably mentally as well. To concede 58 points, given the importance of that game, says a lot. Just for Mitch Moses, where's he sit at as far as the game's best players now, influential players?
He's in the conversation. He's in, I think Nathan and a few others are still there in terms of best halfbacks. But when he puts it together, he's a very influential player. I'm going to give Jason Rolls a huge credit here. I think that's his greatest coaching performance. Like, he had that team dialed in. And we spoke to Mitch after the game. He said, well, why would we take the Roosters on through the middle? So they move the ball to go through them.
Yeah.
And the way that Dylan Walker and Mitchell Moses combined, they were playing at a different speed.
Yeah.
Like they were moving the ball left and right with freedom and scored 30 points. But they scored 30 points, 6 tries. How many line breaks you reckon they had?
4?
Donut.
None.
That's how they scored tries from kicks and intercept, but their play was so good. Like it just moved the Roosters' defence around.
They're very synchronised in their attack.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very good.
Very good. Very impressive.
And it says a lot about Jason Riles. And Dylan Walker had some terrific years, some good years at South, had some great years at Manly, had some really solid years at the Warriors. I reckon he's playing his best football this year.
Yeah,
I think this is his best football. And Josh Adokar, mate, the Fox. I think this is, I said this on the show last night, I think this is his best season so far, not based on scoring tries and all that sort of stuff, but his leadership.
Yeah, if there's any young winger out there wanting to know how to defend as a winger, go watch the try that he took the intercept on James Tedesco. He was under immense pressure and gave the indication he was going to back off, and that made Tedesco throw the ball, and he just plucked it out of the air and ran 80.
That's good on you, Fox. Good stuff, mate. Righto, Coops. I'm going to get some rest.
You look good, mate.
Yeah.